Hey there, Board Game Brody here with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table, like Mycelia. It's a mushroom growing game by Burnt Island Games that sent me this game. Okay, now straight out from the rulebook here, Mycelia is a dynamic game of tactics, a competition for space and resources to create your own mushroom kingdom. The game follows a life cycle of fungi, a journey of creation, expansion, death, and rebirth. Growing mushrooms to score points, sporing them to expand your mycelial network, and eventually seeing them decay to unlock special actions. And just so you know, Mycelia is the hidden root system in mushrooms. Here is the game setup. Each tile is a triangle. It can be red, green, brown, or yellow. These colors represent the different nutrients and minerals that mushrooms need to grow. There is one other special tile, the black tile, which is used as any color when growing your mushrooms, a wild. In reverse turn order, players will place out their mother mushroom on one of the starting tiles, and it can never be on the same place as another player's. Each player has their own starting mats, ordered from 1 pip to 5 pips, and you will be placing cards in those locations and then placing the matching mushroom token on that tile on the board where that type of mushroom will be located. You will have a marker in each spot to count how many times you have performed the spore action for each of those mushrooms as well. Each player also starts with 3 mushroom cards in their hand. Players take turns performing 2 actions on their turn and continue in a clockwise direction. There are 6 different actions to choose from, and you must choose 2 different actions on your turn. So first, you can move. And the only piece that you can move is your mother mushroom. It can be moved 2 spaces across one of the 3 flat edges of its current tile. And you cannot move onto a tile with another player's mother mushroom tile already on it. This move action is a way that you can move to be near different color triangle tiles that you might need to spore onto, or it can be used to strategically block areas on the board from others. When moving on a tile with other players' spores, they become your spores as well. And at any time, if you move your mother mushroom tile onto a tile with an insect token, then it becomes yours. Now back to moving and blocking. You can move your mother mushroom tile on top of another player's mushroom token, and you can also move another player's mother mushroom tile by spending your insect tokens to do that. Now, anytime you add tiles onto the board, if there is an insect shown on that tile, then you would add an insect token on top of it. These insect tokens can only be collected by your mother mushrooms, and you can always turn in 3 cards from your hand at any point on your turn to gain 1 insect token from that exchange. Spending insect tokens can be done at any point during your turn, as well as you can spend 2 of them to move another player's mother mushroom token to any other triangle tile on the board, as long as it doesn't have another mother mushroom token already on it. You can spend 1 insect token to refresh the market, discarding the 3 cards on display and placing out 3 new ones face up. And also, just so you know, at the end of the game, every 2 insect tokens is worth 1 point. So you can gain them for points as well. There are a total of 20 insect tokens in total in the game. So again, first possible action is moving your mother mushroom token. Second, you can explore. You will flip over the top triangle tile from one of the piles and add it anywhere onto the board as long as one of the flat edges is touching another tile. If that tile has an insect symbol, then you will add an insect token onto it. The board can grow in any direction, and because tiles are random, games will be different each time that you play. The third action is about creating and spreading your spores across the board. But before you do the spore action, you will indicate which mushroom or mother mushroom that you are choosing for your spores to disperse from. The mother mushroom token can spore forever, but the fruited mushrooms only have the capacity to spore twice each. And you will keep track of this by using the spore counter above each of the mushroom slots on your player mat. You will move the counter up each time that you spore from that mushroom. And when it gets to the end, then it will decay. So the number of spore cubes that you will place is determined by your mushroom card, as each can have a different spore count depending on the type of mushroom it is. And your mother mushroom always will count as sporing out 2 as its standard. As you spore, if you are sporing out more than 1, then you have to figure out in what directions they will continue going out. The first spore is always placed on the tile with that mushroom that you are sporing from, and you will determine the wind direction by rolling the wind die. That result will have an icon, and these icons look like an O, a U, or an A, and you will add the second cube on the tile touching the side with that icon that you rolled. If you have placed 2 spores and need to place 1 more, then you will choose to place it on either the left or the right tile of the one that you already spored onto. And if you are placing out 4 spores, then you will place 1 each on the left and right so that the 4 tiles that you place cubes on will make a larger triangle. If you don't have a left or right when placing cubes, then you will continue in the original direction from your first and second spore, continuing placing them in that only direction that you can go. If you have no other tiles to place your spores onto because the direction is pointed off the edge of the board, then you do not place any more spores, even if you have more to place on with that number indicated on your mushroom card. So let's talk about spore ownership now. If a spore is on a tile with a mother mushroom or a mushroom from any player, then any spore on that tile is now owned by the player whose mushroom is there, and they can spin it how they'd like. The spores on the tiles without any mushroom belong to the player who placed them, it being that color cube on it indicating that other player, that player whose color it is, owns it. And then now the fourth possible action is the fruit action. Adding new mushrooms to the board is important, and you must have the correct number of spores located on the correct colored tiles to be able to do this. However, they must be connected in the same network. Your own colored pieces will form your network, and if there is a space, then it's cut off and it's not in the same network. Other players can also move their mother mushroom or place one of their other mushrooms on a tile that might take your spores from you and cut off you from the rest of your own network. You can then still use the other network, but when doing a fruit action, the spores all need to be spent along the same one network with the matching colors. If you have the spores needed shown on one of the cards in your hand, you can then spin those spores, discarding them from the board, and then you will place any available mushroom token from your player mat and place that card you fruited on that slot. And you will then place that mushroom token on any free triangle from where you spent spores from to grow it out there. 2 mushrooms cannot be grown on the same tile, but you can grow a mushroom on the same tile where your mother mushroom is at. If you spent another player's spores from a tile that you control, then you will return them back to that player. The 5th possible action is decay, removing mushrooms from the board to gain their bonuses. Once you have a mushroom that has spored twice, you have the option to go and decay that mushroom. You will remove that card from your player mat and slide it underneath that player mat, and you will remove the matching mushroom token from the tile on the board and place it back on your matching mat slot. You will then reset the spore counter to the slot back to the beginning, and you will resolve that mushroom's decay bonus action shown on the bottom of its card. Some give you instant actions, others give you game upgrades, which continue to be in effect for the remaining of the game. And others will do, mushroom upgrades that apply to future mushrooms that are grown on that same player mat. So any mushroom placed on that player mat will then gain that bonus upgrade that is underneath it, and it'll give you a good benefit. The 6th possible action is the discover action, and you'll gain new cards. You will choose one of the 3 mushroom cards on display, or you can pick the top card from the top of the deck. You do not have a card limit for your hand size, and after choosing a card, a new one is replaced back into the market on display so others can plan. Again, each turn you will choose 2 different actions to perform on your turn. The end of the game is triggered when a player has at least 1 decayed mushroom in each of the 5 slots on their player mats. The game immediately ends with no other turns given after that. If that player decays on their first turn, on their turn to trigger the end of game, they do not get to take their second action, but they gain the end of game token that is worth 5 points. Then players add up their score from all the fruited and decay mushrooms, plus points from leftover insect tokens, and then the player with the highest number of points wins the crowned victor over the fungi kingdom. And well, that's Mycelia by Splitstone Games and Burnt Island Games, who sent me this review copy for this video. You can play solo if that's your jam as well, with other players being, played by Autonoma if that's what you want to do as well. But this is a great fun fungi game. Yes, I said that right. So it really ends up with you getting spores out on certain colored tiles to use them to grow your different mushrooms, and then using that mushroom to grow more and more, and then decaying that mushroom to gain its added action and to make room for, additional mushrooms on your player mat to get them out on the board as well. It can get crowded on those tiles, but you can always explore and add more tiles onto it. You will want to do this, strategically so that those tiles kind of stay in your network instead of benefiting another player's. Moving your mother mushroom token can be powerful to take, spores from off the board and use them from, what other players are doing, or to cut off networks from others while growing your own. Also, when moving your mother mushroom token, you will, pick up insect tokens, and those can help move another player's mother mushroom token out of the way, or to refresh the market to get better cards out there, or points at the end of the game if nothing else. Sporing is huge in this game, but also there, is that random die roll that determines where the wind will take the other spores. And you can try to place mushrooms in a spot so that hopefully the spores all fall in your areas or the tiles that you want them to, but there's always a chance it might help other players as well. Really, if you own a lot of spores, then you'll be able to use them to place out more mushrooms and continuing sporing from those and just growing your different networks. But those locations of your mushrooms will come and go as you can only spore from them twice. And then they decay, which, does possibly give up an area, and others can swoop in and take some leftover spores that you did not use. Now, when you are choosing which mushroom to get to the board, you are, deciding, one, how many points you'll score for it because it's listed on there, how many spores you will place out because it's listed on there, and possible bonus actions you will receive when it decays. It's all on that card. Sometimes discovering more mushrooms and having more, in your hand can help you with those three things. So you should keep an eye out on what's available in the market to know which mushrooms you want. It's a solid game with 6 actions to choose from, and with more mushrooms coming out and the more cards decaying in the game does ramp up very well. It's heavy on the area control and drafting of cards that work well with, what you have available to you. I like the theme. The art is amazing. The production is very well done. The player mats are dual layered to help your marker counter so that those don't slide off. But then it creates a slot underneath for decaying cards to slide in there with no problems as well. Nice, thick cardboard, wooden components that look great. And it comes with a great insert to organize things so it creates a faster setup and an easier teardown. And it fits really snug in this box here. This is a game that is going to sit well with a wide range of people. As the design isn't too complex, the game length lets you, get back to the table often, so it's not super long, and it gives a fun strategic play about mushrooms, which, might be a theme getting very, very hot right now. Again, this is Brody with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are working hard to bring to you videos like this one, so you know if these games here are ones that you want to get to your own table.